And Slàinté, y'all, welcome to a very special occasion. We are on a Sunday at a much more tolerable time for our friends over across the Atlantic, especially over in the UK and Europe, and super excited for today. So thanks for joining us on this Sunday afternoon, evening, night, whatever it may be where you are. And want to say hello to everyone who has joined us. Too slow, of course, is never too slow. He's usually the first person in. Hell's wet. Lovely to see you, my friend. Chris is on. Everwin, ahoy, mateys, malt mates. Yes, we got some great folks in today. Jimmy Jazz is in. Seeing all of our friends, and thank you for being a member of a Camp Drammer there, Jimmy Jazz. I appreciate that. Yes, good afternoon. Just looking forward to this for a while. You know, Wi-Fi has been the nemesis here lately over the summer. Hey, Scott, great to see you. Kilted Moose is in, and finally got the fiber working. And Gregor, our dear friend, had gone on his trip. So back when Wi-Fi was sort of okay, internet was sort of okay, we had a first blind with him based on some of the places he was going to be on his trip. And so he had an unbelievable Caledonian run, was what he named his epic trip back to Scotland. And even though I got to see him in Austin a bit, he didn't really divulge a whole lot about what he did. So we'll be talking some about that today because Gregor is back to do another blind. I have 5 samples, and I'll let him explain to you how this quagmire of a of a blind is going to go. But I'll also say, hey, Ethan, and Chad's here, and Chuck. Good to see you too. Appreciate y'all being here. We've got Pete Head in today. Hello. This is so awesome. I love seeing all these names. Andrew, super to have you here, friend. Thanks for being here. Scotch Buddy. Hello. Good to see you. I'll be a Scotch Buddy. I love Scotch Buddies. Let's see. And Greg just probably finished his blind challenge that he had on his channel. He's over in France. Y'all give him a watch too. Let's see. Oh, here's a new name. Shay Francis. Great to see you. I don't know if that's from France or our version of France. Let me know where you're from and what are y'all drinking tonight? I mean, it's with a blind. It's a little hard to tell, right? Because we don't know what I'm drinking yet. So let us know in the chat what everyone's drinking. Sugar Kitty, hey, meow, tea friend. Thanks for being here. Yeah. So howdy y'all, this will get messy real quick, but what's the worst that can happen? Nothing, because I guarantee you they're going to be all really good drams. Because yeah, that's going to happen. Andy C, great to see you here too, friend. Everybody, gosh, all kinds of folks. And Daniel, hey, another Camp Drammer member and Isla Whiskey Academy buddy. Great to see you here too. Andrew Butler, there you are. Taking a break. If you have to take a break from a whiskey festival, thanks for joining us, Andrew. I really do appreciate it. I do. We've got Whiskey with Molly, Andrew, Greg Pierce. And Greg, that's right. And Greg's Whiskey Guide. Absolutely. Oh my goodness. So we've got lots of folks in the chat. I love it. Absolutely love it. And this lovely lady. Hello there, my friend Shayla. Thanks for being here. Oh gosh. And it just keeps going and going. So but yeah, we'll come back to the chat in a bit, but I really want to bring in this first guy here. the instigator. This would be Gregor. Time for a dram. Hello, my friend.
How are we doing, Leanne?
We're doing super. I've been so looking forward to this.
Well, indeed. It's been a while, right? I think we chatted when I was still at the planning or near final stage.
Near final stages. You had everything taken and figured out where it was going to go. I think you were about 3 weeks out from leaving.
Okay. Yeah,
so,
yeah. That's fun. Yeah, actually, that's funny. I remember the stream that we did and the results of that made for a heightened experience at one of the distilleries that I went to. I I'm trying to speak in code now, just in case.
Yeah.
Aye. So I thought it would be fun to get back on, share some anecdotes as they kind of come of the trip, because I know you're also planning yours as well. So
I am.
and then we thought about, or rather, I thought we crafted the last, or I crafted the last blind around the route and the road trip. And I thought it would be fun to do the same now that you know where the road trip went, ultimately, kind of, sort of, with a sequel. So this is another blind flight that may or may not contain bottles and or distilleries that I visited on the trip, just to mess with you some more.
May or may not. All the love there. I love it.
Right.
Thanks for messing with me that much. You know?
Yeah.
Well, I can say that having remembered some of the places that you did go, can't think of anything that you would have brought back that would not be delicious. So I am definitely looking forward to that. So you walk me through on where we want to start. There are 5 drams that I have.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder, do we unfold the chaos now? I think so. Let's keep it nice and clean, right? What your kit is.
Okay.
You've got 5.
Let's explain why I have a kit, and then there are 2 other folks that are going to be joining us. One we've talked about a whole lot.
There's a lesson to be learned from this, and that lesson is write down a blind set, a blind kit, a blind flight, and make a copy of that. So what I'd done was, we were going to be meeting up in Texas,
right?
And I thought, hey, it was fun when it was just us on the blind flight, but I'd be meeting some other people there, and I thought, oh, I'll make multiple sets. So all in good time, I set up and I made 4 sets. Took a photo with my phone of the bottles to the colours, thinking that's efficient. I don't even need to write it down.
Nah.
Then come to find that photo didn't actually take, and I now have 4 sets. And I've given them out to people. I gave them to Zach, Mark G. Goins, and then there was to be, and then there was yours. But actually, in actual fact, I forgot to give you yours.
Right.
And I was in the airport with Roy, and I thought, oh, here, I'll give you Leanne's set, and I'll make a new one for Leanne. So that's what I did. So we gave one to Roy.
Great.
Then I realized I don't have record of what those drams were. I knew 4 of them by heart.
You knew the bottles, but you didn't know which of the drams were which of the bottles.
So Zach and Roy are sat with a kit that 4 of the bottles are what you have, and they have one other that we don't know. There's not going to be an answer to that. They are blind. They're, the film Inception.
Yeah.
They're another few levels down in the blind world. Okay. Where I think it can get interesting is when we reveal the bottles, then they can talk about what they think matches to what bottle.
Okay.
That contains the chaos. But for you and I, and for everyone else watching, I've shared the key for what you're drinking for the colours.
Okay.
And then we can just go through them.
Okay.
And pick your favourite, I think, is the first thing, because that's the most fun, ultimately. Here's 5 drams that represent the road trip that I was on. And I think it would be fun for you to pick a favourite.
I'll pick a favourite. All right. Well, I want to show, thank you real quick, Jimmy Leg, for a super chat and a tip. I'll pass this on, Jimmy Leg, for Gregor's barber, who always does such a great job. Let me tell you, not even the heat and humidity of Austin, Texas could make that quaff go fizzy. Let me tell you. In
my defense, we stayed in the AC, really. We didn't go out too much.
That is true. That is true. Okay, so I'm going to start. I've got them laid out. I'm going to start with red. Theoretically, whatever red is.
So everyone at home knows. They all know what's what.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Red's very malty. This is, I mean, there's no pressure, right? I mean, I just have, so for those of y'all are watching, thanks so many. We have 60 on right now. Oh my God. Roy and Zach are in the background. They'll be with us very soon because, you know, my comments, they're kind of going off of this. So God love them on that.
I mean,
That's got some smoke and I think some peat there in it too.
Luna Aaron's asking how are we supposed to know. You're not going to know anything about Zach and Roy's setup, but as far as what Leanne is drinking and the colours that she's got, I'll share again. There's a link there with a Google document, and you can jump on there and see.
Peat on that one. That's interesting. I'm gonna go through these pretty fast.
Yeah, no, I'm conscious. Don't want dead air either.
I know, and everybody just wants to see me sip.
Yeah.
So, yellow is very tasty. It's a little hotter for sure, and more of a savory. It's malty, but more savory. And I would guess a bourbon.
Jimmy Leg's trying to give you some help by saying that red is a whiskey with no E.
Y'all, I'm trying to keep up with comments, but without my glasses on and drinking, it's a little. So I'm just going to go for what I like taste first. I can see Roy just like, Leanne, this is no help at all.
I know, because they can speak in code, because they are drinking 4 of the same whiskies, but not the same color.
Okay, purple's hot. Purple's got some kick to it. It's a higher ABV for sure, and it's almost vegetal. Yeah, this is like really. I feel like I'm doing speed drams here.
I know.
With the dummies.
In retrospect, we probably should have had you do your favorite off air.
Yeah,
and on part 3.
Yeah, we'll get there. Where am I? Brown's got brown's looking kind of sherry-ish.
I'm drinking brown now. I've poured brown and red to dram along with you. I'm trying to be responsible.
Oh man, definitely sherry on the brown with a nice. It's got a linger of a finish.
Roy's asking, can he look at the key or not? Roy, for now, I would say no. I think you can come online when we have gone through Leanne's first round of questions, I think.
Goodness. And well, I want to say thank you to Patrick. Lindsay, thank you. Slàinté. Thank you so much for the super chat. This is awesome. Getting lots of new folks for, I got blue. Blue is, oh, wow. I love that blue's smell is, it's got, I don't know if it's salt, but it's very, isn't that? It's soft. It's got a bit of a floral, but like a yeasty bready. I'm just making notes.
Scott Kilted Moose is given, he's asking, or rather, he's given luck to Roy on the blind. The reality is, there's no winning or losing for Roy or Zach. They are the definition of it's the participation that counts.
Yeah. Okay, so favorites. That's a little hard to do this quick, but I would say blue was very balanced. Some other ones were either a little hotter or a little. There were a couple that were, especially the purple was somewhat sour, not off-putting. Very different.
Which was overly sour? Sorry.
The purple one was a little. Is it purple? Yeah.
Jimmy Leg is asking how purple relates to the trip. I would say I visited there.
Purple's
That's like
definitely a bourbon.
that's like his clue about they're all whiskey, because in actual fact, I visited all of these.
Did you? Okay.
But that's not giving anything away.
Okay. So brown and blue are my two favorite, and normally I would go straight to the brown, but the blue is very interesting. It's definitely very light. I'm guessing definitely a bourbon matured.
I just want to keep track.
It has almost a three-dimensional mouthfeel to it. Interesting. Okay. So I would.
So your favorite was
between? I'm gonna go with blue right now.
Blue. Okay.
Yeah, then brown. Blue and brown are very tight. Okay. I like all of them, but I think mood-wise, I'm kind of there.
What I can tell, well, this doesn't tell them anything. I was going to tell Zach and Roy. What I can tell them, though, is your purple is the one that they do not have. They have something, they have something else.
So but it's out of
your purple. That doesn't mean it's their purple. That's the lunacy. So all good.
Their bottles actually do have color codes. They're just not my color codes.
Exactly. Exactly. I'm never making this mistake ever again. I'm never going to put a blind flight together again. This is it. I'm done. I'm retiring after this.
Oh my gosh, this is hilarious. This is a riot, y'all. I wish I could keep up. My goodness, how do you do this, Roy? How in the hell do you ever try?
Well, he writes it down so he doesn't mess up.
Okay.
All right. So what we'll do is, and again, Roy and Zach can't. Well, they could try and play along on this one.
They could try. Why don't we bring them in?
Do it.
Okay. So, everybody, please welcome Roy Aqvavitae and the crazy man himself, Zach. And Truce. This is gonna be epic, y'all. I loved seeing my whiskey peeps. Y'all have no idea how much I love seeing you all. Thanks for being here.
We're testing a few theories here because this is like, I feel like it's the metaverse blind tasting, and Mac and I are in a slightly different universe from you guys. So when you're talking about the purple, I've literally got the purple at my face, and I'm thinking, nope.
What is Leanne doing? She's crazy. That's not what this tastes like.
So I think what we're doing here then, Gregor, is Leanne is the one doing the blind challenge.
Yes.
And then Zach and I are playing a kind of oddball side game of trying to match up 4 out of 5 drams with Leanne's tasting notes, right?
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah. It's been good fun so far.
And then once we know what the bottles are, that's where you and I think Zach can try and align through a process of elimination. I'm curious though, I don't know if this pays any value. Did you have a preference through what you tasted so that we can go back after the fact?
I mean, I think we could probably. Do you want us to sort it in our? Yeah. Give me a
Zach,
minute.
you might need to mute for a sec.
Yeah. Picking up your airplane. You didn't know you're next to an airport.
Yeah. It's Houston.
Go for it, Roy, and go for your preference. And again, for those playing at home, these colors mean nothing till the end.
I think it's normal with these things, right? That you're. I don't know if Zach will agree, but your first sip as you fly through doesn't tend to be your favorite as you sip through and spend a little bit of time with it, right? As they start to settle a bit, you start to. So I do reserve the right to change my mind.
Yes, always. You don't have to be one to do that.
I'm going to go with. Well, in fact, we just write it down. Is that better? Because otherwise, maybe Zach and I'll be leading each other, right?
Aye, go for it. Write down your preference.
Right, Zach. Let's pick our favorite, our color, because we can talk in colors because our colors match, right? So I'll write out what my favorite is only, and we can hold it up at the same time. What do you think?
You can turn your
sign language.
Turn your thing on, babe.
Well, it's back now. Okay, I'll pick the sample bottle. I mean, I don't know. I've
all right. That's a good idea. Let's just pick up the sample of our favorite.
I've enjoyed several of them, but I'm probably gonna say my favorite right now, and it's kind of weird for me is the brown one.
I've picked a yellow.
Oh, interesting. I mean, I understand why.
Yeah.
It's definitely
I wonder if it's
your profile.
Yes, it is. Yeah. Number two's much harder to pick because we've got one that's kind of subtle and three big, shouty, flavoursome ones, right? Would you agree? Now Leanne's nodding, but there's a chance that there's. I'm going to suggest that brown is my second favourite.
Okay.
A lot of cask action going on.
Brown. And brown was Zach's, right? First.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Blue one too.
So, Gregor, not to throw the wrench into the curve, but my brown is the one they don't have, correct?
No, purple.
My
You're
purple.
You're purple.
Oh, okay.
For those listening and watching, don't try and follow. Just enjoy the wheels coming off this whiskey-filled car.
And if you even give us any anecdotes or little kind of stories about your travels while you were here, you're probably going to be leading us to certain drams, right?
Maybe. Yeah, because I don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to.
Because that's why I'm here. I'm here for the stories.
Yeah, we want to hear the stories. It's not like there's not this big prize if we get. Give us a break at this point, friend.
I know. Well, I did share some of them on the podcast, but I mean, it's not a whiskey story, but it was all attached to the caravanning part of the trip. You need a fair amount of people who are smart enough to get a camper van out of beach shingle when you go on a trip. I'll tell you that much. 2 city slickers in a camper van driving on beach shingle does not bode well. Equally, when someone's telling you how to operate the toilet, you also need to pay attention. That story fast forwards to me basically atomizing the first pee I took in the camper van because I wasn't listening. And I was in a little cubicle. Again, these are not the whiskey stories that you came for, but it's what comes to mind.
I was watching Leanne's expression there as he told the story, and I could see her. I could read her face. He's not going to talk about the pee. He's not going to talk about the. Oh, he's going to talk about the pee.
But those are the little bits in between. I think the whiskey was the whiskey experiences was unreal, Leanne. I think when we started talking, it was clear it was a 2-week trip of 2 1-week sections, right? And
Right.
The first section was with Roy and the Barfly community on Isla, and it was tremendous. It was unreal. Like Roy could have a second career on organising whiskey trips. He's very good at it.
I'm sure he could. I don't know if
Oh,
it's something he wants to add to his repertoire, but
Well, I think the way that you would compare the trip that Gregor had perhaps arranged in Scotland is how you would compare how he arranges blind challenges compared to.
it's like, which was now,
You
in
know,
all fairness, that was my first trip. That was my first trip to Scotland. 15 days, knew I was sleeping 5 or 6 nights. Not advisable. Know where you're going to sleep before you go over there, but I just kind of let my trip take me where the wind blew. And I got lost more times than I can count. I found some of the coolest things, including Macchier Bay, that I never even thought I would encounter. So there is something to say. And Roy, you're famous about this, talking about that serendipity and how, things just happen to come in and out of your path to lead you where you need to go. So you never know.
Yeah, and I learned from that by planning a camper van so that if ever we didn't have a place to stay, it was taken care of. And that was a great unlock, that part. So when we went into the second week where it was camper vanning and kind of road tripping up, basically we snaked our way up north. And we went to Glenturret first, which was stunning. It was amazing to go and see that because it's new for me. It's a new distillery for me. They had some works going on, so they gave everyone an extra dram to make up for the fact that you couldn't see. I think it was the mash tun that was getting done, which was quite nice. But then, we just kind of snaked our way up, and it was quite a cool way to plan the road trip was like, well, I need to get to Speyside. So we just kind of divided that by chunks of time that you could drive in a camper van, and then also kind of planning to end near a distillery so that you could enjoy that, which was kind of the format for it. And that paid dividends when we went to Ardnamurchan. We were able to basically, we parked at the first lay-by that we could stop at 6 minutes from Ardnamurchan so that we could walk and enjoy it all when we were there. And DJ, I have to give DJ a shout out, like, to his credit, he opened it up for us on a Sunday. It was his day off, and he came in and took us through, and we kind of went through all the Adelphiism and all the casks and all of that, and just seeing how many rack houses or warehouses they had. And then we got through the distillery, and it was stunning. It was stunning. It was great. And I don't want to spoil too much because I'm sure, Leanne, you'll get there. But it's fantastic. And then the real fun started, and we started pouring. And we basically went through pretty much every and anything that was open and available to the public. And it was great. And I managed to see my casks, Leanne.
Yeah.
I saw the two cask ends. Well, I mean, it was the ends, but I found both my casks, and I gave them a wee tap and a wee stroke, and I said I would see you in 9 years.
Papa loves you.
Exactly. And it was quite surreal because I'm sure you saw, or maybe you did, like, it was immortalized. The moment where they were getting filled was immortalized, right? Roy and Sevi were there. So it was quite bizarre to see them there and touch it and know that, you know, Roy's hand and Sevi's hand had been on there. And obviously Scott, Kilted Moose's name's on the end of the cask as well. So the four of us. And that was all before I really had much of a relationship with Ardnamurchan. And I'm glad to say I bought a lot of whiskey, and the romance is blossoming. Lovely.
Very nice. Very nice. I want to jump in real quick and say thank you to Bobby J. Cheers, Leanne, Gregor, Zach, and Roy. I actually have a dram with all of you today. I know. I'm so glad that you're not on a forklift right now, friend, and that you're able to join us this afternoon. That's awesome, Bobby. Thanks so much for the love and the support.
The one time he's not in an aisle in Home Depot going up and down a lift.
Right. There's quite a few comments about, you know, having to go in camper vans in the comments section. So I'm thinking, you know, your strife was not your own, that other folks have had to deal with, you know, facilities and tight quarters and all that. Yeah,
lessons learned there. As much as you can go off grid, I think there's a lot to be said for staying on grid, having showers and all of that, for sure.
Yep.
But I have to say, it makes it more accessible, right? Because we were dividing, like, if you did the math, 4 guys in a hotel, like doing hotel rooms at every stop, that quickly gets quite expensive, right? For 7 nights or whatever. The camper van gave a bit of freedom. It made the journey between more fun, actually, right? If you were all kind of hunkered up in a car, I don't know that it's quite as fun. I've got loads of footage. I might eventually get around to making a little bit of a montage of it. But we'll
especially with all of y'all in various kilts. That's what I mean, you dug down to your roots, you know.
Oh yeah.
And that's really pretty cool.
Yeah, I managed to get, I think one of my personal highlights was in Rassay, and sitting on top of casks that we were soon to open in my kilt with 3 of my lifelong mates, making a new friend of Alistair was just tremendous. It was unreal. And without giving too much away from Alistair's world, some of the cask play that's going on there is quite something. And I don't know if you and I talked about this, Roy, or not. There's a wood, where is it? It's South American wood. I forget the name of it, but I know that a few distilleries are playing around with it. And I tasted this thing. It's not whiskey yet. It was 2 years old. And already it was breathtaking at 2 years old. I forget the name of it. It's Colombian. I think it's a Colombian wood or something. But that was quite a special moment, getting to taste something that is so promising, so young. And equally, there was another moment which was facilitated with Roy and his connections. And we were one of the few, in fact, Roy, you've talked on it, but an email came through the day of being at Ardnaho, and I forget his name. It wasn't Graham. One of the
Paul,
guys.
Paul.
He was
Paul
given the green
came in and
light.
said, yeah,
Given the green light to pour just enough for 8 thirsty dram facers and barflies, and we got to taste some of the official Ardnaho, and it was amazing.
That was, I think that was one of the moments for me as well, just to, because you're always, we get to test and taste young whiskey quite regularly, don't we? And while they're not all the same, they all have a kind of very similar character to them that you're going to have to try and imagine what they are like in their future, rather than because they're all quite youthful. But that one surprised me a lot, and I asked immediately afterwards, after my first tasting note to kill the silence was an expletive. I'd apologize for that, but I think they were quite tickled, and I went on to suggest and claim that you've obviously picked a very good cask to open. The cask that you've chosen to open was known to you, and they said no, this is the first cask of its type. We picked it because of the cask number, because it was the first one that was filled, I think, by the family or something. There was no kind of pre-selection shenanigans beforehand.
So they didn't vet it beforehand. They just
right. So you just
wow.
trust that, you take that, and you say okay. But it's rare for you to pour a whiskey for, as Gregor said, I think it was maybe 8 or 9, or I don't know how many of us were there on that day, but it was one of the really busy days when there was a lot of us together. And you pour it for everyone, and you get that immediate consensus. It's not, like a noddy dog round a table thing where everybody starts to kind of lead each other. There's an immediate silence. It was silent. We were all just really just like, wow.
Contemplating it, huh?
And I just said, I had the words that we were all talking about, fruit. It was so tropical. It was so fruity. It seemed ridiculously good. For a young whiskey, so that's quite. I mean, like all the young whiskies that's out there, that's quite exciting, right?
Very cool.
I think also one nugget to share was I know Roy was quite vicariously watching me through the Isla part of the trip. And while I'm not suddenly reaching for Ardbeg, definitely I'm ready for peat now, and it's not off-putting. I'll sit and I'm happy to drink it. And then actually, to be fair, as is reflected in this flight, because there's a few bits of peat in there. Or is there, Roy? Roy, is there any peat in there?
In fact, I'm thinking there's certainly 2. And Zach's leading me down the lane that there could be 2.5. But I certainly there's 2 that's heavily peated here, and I know I suffer from peat blindness, but I'd like to think I'm able to pick out.
I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna go out on a limb because I know only ours are the same. You got to get to the end of the glass on purple to really get the peat.
Now again,
so, saying
that's relevant for you and Roy.
That's why I said only Roy. That was only Roy. I didn't get it until I got down to the end.
Actually, and Mark Goins is on the call. He's in the background. I'm hoping he's drumming along because he's the other one that has the same.
No, he was unable. He was unable. Okay. He had some work stuff.
So. He can't join us today.
So what I thought we could do though, Leanne, and Roy, Zach, you can play along just for hits and giggles, if you want. But there's 5 clues or questions pertaining to the drams that you can try and match, Leanne. We will score you. Roy and Zach, you're just doing it for fun's sake.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good.
Hold up real quick, Gregor. I just want to say thanks. Martin's in, and I'm all over this idea. Let's get a GoFundMe started to get a video tour of Scotland with all of these 4. Absolutely. I'll be glad to help. I will be the hostess with the mostest.
Well, I tell you what would have to happen there. It would have to be such a huge GoFundMe that we could employ a crew, because the first day, best intentions, and actually handed Gregor the camera on Isla, didn't I?
Yes.
And I said, I realized I was doing a terrible job because I just wanted to be in the moment and I wanted to interact fully with our hosts and get the most out of it. So if you're distracted worrying about what you can shoot and what angles and trying to make it sound okay and look okay, you cannot enjoy the moment. So I handed the camera to Gregor thinking, he'll do a bit of that. He's good with a camera. And then about half an hour later, he said, I think I should just give you this back now. Nobody wanted to work, unfortunately.
And it is work. It is work. It is that, but it's a sweet thought. It really is.
It's quite selfless. It's quite selfless to kind of say, I'm going to remove myself a little here to document it, right? Like, because it's tough, and and fair play, because I think a lot of us are in a time where you need that presence of mind and actually just let's just be in the moment. I took loads of photos with my phone. It was easier and convenient, but it was great.
And it is there because when you go there, it's not. It is. It's a higher plane.
Yeah.
It's not just there to taste a whiskey and go, oh well, that's a nice view. When you're at the end of Lefroy or Ardbegg's jetty, and you've got the brine in the air hitting you, you've got the smoky dram in your glass, as you're looking out over the water. That's an existential plane of being that is not at my table, having just an Ardbeg 10. It is a completely different experience. And truly, that's why you go there. That if you're able to get there, you're there to have that extra experience and be able to soak all of that in. Because when you're in that plane, it's more than just the whiskey. It's the person it's the group of people that labored over the barley. It's the people who put everything together in that distillery. It's the wood that ebbed and flowed to allow, that liquid in and out to mature. It's all of those things that had to happen to end up being what's in your glass. And it's almost a reverent or an appreciative moment for me that I've had in being able to do that there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you just want to bask in that. You want to just dwell in that moment and prolong it for as long as you can, for sure.
Absolutely.
All right,
it constantly gives you moments where you're kind of looking at the sky, wondering who you have to thank, right? Who is it? But I will say that, and we touched on this on the Dramface podcast, Gregor, and all of us had our own wee story about how the whiskey just kind of leads you to the spot, gives you that big impactful moment that Leanna's just described, and then just fades into the background to just let you be together, just let you enjoy each other's company, whatever it is that you're doing. I remember Rob Halford, who was with us, talking about it just being after he got over the initial excitement, he just started to really just enjoy being there wherever it didn't matter where he was. I remember Scott, Kelted Moose, who's in the chat tonight on the podcast, talking about, he just kept saying, whiskey did this. This idea that you're constantly kind of going along pinching yourself, that you're getting these experiences. And I know, Zach, you feel the same way. I can see you nodding away there, and you feel it, and we probably touched upon it several times over the times that we've been able to meet up down in Austin and things, and it's just all of these people. I'm just wondering where are all the idiots, right? What filter is keeping away the awful people, right? Because it's only good people so far, right? So it was fantastic, and I will admit, Gregor, I apologize. My brother, Rob Halford, and you, I vicariously enjoyed my whiskey journey all over again through your eyes, and I don't feel guilty about taking that pleasure at all.
As well, I piggyback off that. I think what can't be understated is what whiskey did and what whiskey unlocked, particularly in that week one. There's me going out. I knew two of you guys, and the rest not really, right? Like we talk about, you don't expect to necessarily make new friends at certain periods of your life. And there you go. It unlocked a moment. And okay, it maybe took a day to kind of find out who all was where. But after that, you were all just loving each other's company, giving each other the space they need and all of that. And it was amazing. It was amazing. And to come away with, you know, arguably, not arguably, but come away with new friends, you know. It was amazing. I've got great footage. I loved getting to know everyone, so I don't mean to single anyone out, but I got to know Rolf really well, Ebhead, Rolfie on the trip, he's affectionately termed, who just cracks me up. I could just watch him in his world forever. I just loved it. I've got a brilliant bit of footage. I'll use it eventually. Where we're at Arnaho, and there's a door open towards the stills, and then there's a sign saying drams with an arrow pointing the other way, and he goes, oh, and goes towards the drams. Like,
he's had enough of the tour. He doesn't need to see these
still.
extremely long line arms, right? He knows where the drams are.
Totally.
There's a saying that we have, it's just too much Rolf. And you consider, you know, Doc was there, Stefan. So you've kind of got these people who are, you know, their English is their second language, although they seem to speak it better than we do most of the time. But just coming together, actually, our common language is whiskey, and it just allows us to kind of see each other as just mutually appreciative people. It was just, I keep talking about it being medicine, being a tonic, and it did feel like it. Zach, one day you'll be there, my friend. One day
I will be there one day. Absolutely.
But what you were saying, Gregor, is spot on, and you don't have to be at Isla to do that. I mean, the first year I met Zach was through Mark JG at Austin, at the Bastards Ball, and it's like we've been separated at birth or something. I don't know what it was, but we were like peas and carrots from there and on, you know. And so I just, you know, again, I mean, I say this all the time. I just cannot even fathom not knowing you all, not knowing who I know through whiskey. I mean, I just can't. And so I'm very thankful for that. So
after this comedy of a blind, you might reconsider my friendship.
You know what? I'm drinking good whiskey. I don't really care.
Let's deliver the questions.
Let's go.
Now, Roy, Zach, you can play along in the background for your own amusement, but know that one of these questions does not pertain to one of your drams, right?
Sure.
You could obviously try and maybe even play a game of pick which question doesn't match a dram. Question 1 is find the blend.
The blend. Oh.
All right.
Can we pass? All right. So I want to get the questions first. Which was the blend? Because I may need to do process of elimination.
All right. Blend. Question 2, you have to find the highest proof.
Okay.
I'm just going to put this in the chat as well so they can see that. Question 3 is to find the Spey side with peat.
Okay.
Question 4 is to find the Islands whiskey.
All right.
And question 5 is to find the Western Highlands whiskey.
I knew there was going to be one of those in there. AKA.
Well, again, a bit like, you know, Roy will pull in a dram face question or Aqvavitae into this and that, and Inception within Inception. You guys know a lot of the distilleries I've been to, so you might have insider knowledge.
But the problem with that is that we are then second guesses.
Aye.
So sometimes it's a wee bit better to go with your gut. But you said Speyside with peat?
There's a Spey in here that might have a whiff of peat. Or they might not, because one of those questions isn't yours.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, man.
Dear. But Leanne, you need to be paying full attention because you are definitely on test right now.
Oh, yeah. It's all on me.
So again, let's find the blend, find the highest proof. I'll say this much. I'm pretty sure your highest proofs, you all have the same one. Find the Spey with peat, find the Island whiskey, and find the Western Highland dram.
Man. Okay. So.
And Martin's right. It's just a whiff. of peat. A whisper. A whisper, Roy would say. A wisp.
That is a little higher than that. I need to pour a bit more. I've been sipping here. I'm going to be awfully adorable to finish dinner tonight.
I know these chats and these calls, they often are the deciding factor whether I do takeout or not. It's not a good idea operating an oven. Do you stay right next to? Are you on site on an airport, Zach?
There's one like 4 miles away, and it's all small planes, so they're all flying really, really low.
Okay. Well, here we go. There's the doc coming in. There was a lot of questions around the Colombian wood, and he says that
acacia. Is it acacia?
Where it is it?
He's thinking Quercus Humboldt date. The thing was, it wasn't Ardnamurchan. It was
okay. The
Andean, and it was Colombian and Pam. Not sure. I will find out because there's 2 people that I know. One might watch the stream, and the other I might have a direct message to. So I'll find it out because that would be 2 distilleries using it that I haven't heard of before.
So are you talking about something that's in the key?
No, the Rasse one, he opened, Alistair opened it at 2 years, just over 2 years old.
Right, okay.
And it was the same wood that I knew someone else was kicking around, so I'd be curious.
No, Tom, they're not mosquitoes. They're actual planes, though the mosquitoes do feel sometimes like they are planes.
You're going to have thick skin to read the comments tonight, Gregor.
Me? I'm not. I am never reliving this moment ever again.
It's fun. It's just it is what it is.
Roy, I don't think we have a blend.
Scientific,
You don't think we have a what, Zach?
I don't think we have a blend.
I think we might.
You think we might?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I know.
I want to give some away so that you can play along. You do have a blend.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you got the high proof and you got the blend.
So there you go. I get 0.1 of a point for that. But I guarantee you have not picked the right one as the blend.
Or how about this? How about I tell you what you don't have? The question that you don't have.
Yeah, good.
You don't have the space side with peat.
Cool.
But Leanne does.
Okay.
That changes things quite a bit.
Very, very much.
I know what this is then. I'm so gonna just crash and burn. I don't care. And I've not had a Western Island before, but I really want one.
No, Western Highland, not
a
Island.
Western Highland.
Western Highland.
Like, what Hebridean, huh? No, maybe. A Western Highland.
Oh no, that isn't. No. If it was an island, it would be Hebridean, right, Roy?
Right. It'd have to be.
Isla is also Hebridean, but obviously Isla's got its own region. Right. So if it's Highlands, which incorporates the islands, any island other than Isla is included, with one exception. Now, there's a quiz I might throw in at the VPub quiz at the end. There's one exception. There's another island distillery that is not part of the Highlands or Isla.
Oh, were you there recently?
Yeah.
I had great envy. I was chartreuse with envy that you were there.
Well, I discovered that was the case live on the VPub about a year or two ago. And it's amazing how you're just constantly learning from your own community. And actually, the brand ambassador confirmed it that night as well, that actually, there's a case that Lag is a lowland distillery.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well,
now let's see what
down there.
Let's see how it's termed in the Malt Whiskey Yearbook.
I just got my
it's actually termed in the Malt Whiskey Yearbook as lowlands.
Huh.
So that's very cool. So all island distilleries are in the Highlands unless it's Lag or on Isla.
But as we've discussed many times, it doesn't mean so much anymore, right? I mean, it's given a bit of perspective as to where they are, but
yeah, I still like it. I like the concept. And I
yeah.
like the fact that it kind of breaks things into chunks for people coming into whiskey. Seems to make it a wee bit more accessible. Because I do still believe that despite all the variety that's coming and the more variety that's coming all the time, it's just becoming difficult to keep up with. But there is still a kind of classic baseline style that gives you an anchor to talk from. So, you know, when you're trying to encourage people to understand what Scotch whiskey, I think it's nice to have the regions there and just have because the alternative is just to talk about 140 separate entities. So
yeah.
I'll be most curious how the new distilleries in Campbelltown play into that or don't. That would be curious as that plays out. You know,
how do you mean? Because there'll be
do they make decisions on what they're going to make, the new ones, to play into that
Campbelltown style?
Yeah.
That's the arrogance of people. Like we set up whiskey and decide how it's going to taste. Whiskey just decides for itself how it's going to taste. There are very deliberate things you can do, like in Lochranza, they're very not tall and narrow and elegant stills, right? And down in Lag, there's these big fat dumpy stills, so you can see what they're going for in terms of style. But whether they fully achieve what they visualize or not, or what they imagine, I think it's always fascinating to see that a lot of these things, I mean, we talk about the Campbelltown whiskies and the funk and things like that. Back when there were 30 distilleries in Campbelltown, do you think that they were pretty much producing whiskey to order, whatever people wanted?
Right.
But I wonder if all the whiskey ended up having any kind of element of that kind of Campbelltown. We're not going to mention terroir, of course, but provenance or whatever you want to call it, that DNA.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting, but I think essentially they'll all be Campbelltown whiskies, but it will be fun to see whether they take any of the kind of coastal, oily, interesting elements that region seems to produce from the 2 or 3 distilleries that are there today. Yeah, good point.
I think too, with Alistair being Alistair Day being one of the ones for that new distillery in Campbelltown. His whole family legacy is blending. He's got such, the idea with cask. I think Macallan Fine and Rare. I'm going to throw this out about Rosse using the Chinkapin oak regularly.
Yeah,
it's one of their 3 standard casks, and is this the South American?
I can't. No, I feel like if
Chinkapin's American.
Well, I know Chinkapin is American, but
no, honestly, I'll find out. I will
is that
find
the
out.
genus species of it? It's
I'll find out.
They're all Quercus, but then
yeah,
the species is different.
Right.
I don't think it was Chinkapin. I would have remembered that.
Yeah.
Can I ask you, Gregor?
Glenalky uses some of that.
Is the blend a Campbelltown blend?
Maybe.
Oh, you!
All right, Leanne, have you locked in your colours?
I have, and I'm
Right.
like I said, I feel like I'm going to crash and burn. I'm kind of guessing on some of these.
But so do me a favor though. So tell me what's the blend? What color?
I'm going to say red.
Red. Okay, and the highest proof
is brown.
Brown. The Spey with peat.
Purple.
The Islands.
I have is yellow.
And that means that your Western Highland is
blue.
Blue. Okay. I won't go to you boys because I think it only gets fun when you know what the bottles are that you can kind of start trying to match up.
Okay.
So what I can do is, I've got the bottles here, so I'll just go through them in no order. And I'll share that.
And I reserve the right to change my mind.
Yeah. So now, Leanne, you've to try and guess which bottle to colour.
Okay.
Semi-blind time.
Yeah, semi-blind exact. I don't have a list here, or I can fabricate one. But anyway, first bottle is Loch, and that would be a blend.
A blend. That. Wait.
So you have to find which one's Campbelltown Loch. Also in your flight, Leanne, is the Ben Romack 10.
Okay. That's the space side with a little P.
Original bottling. This is what Zach and Roy do not have.
Okay.
I agree with that. Thank you.
The third bottle is Ardnamurchan.
Ardnamurchan.
It's like you need to be
Ardnamurchan.
And this was I guess this was the US release or one of them, 03.212. And they've done away with these numbers, right, Roy? It's just a code now.
Well, they haven't done away with them, but they've put them on the back in very small letters, so it's just AD now.
Okay. So there is an Ardnamurchan in Zach and Roy's. The fourth bottle.
I'm hoping that's blue because it's really good.
Would be actually, this is tough because you probably do need to see the ABVs. This would be the highest proof bottle, and
Called it
a Glenallachie 10 cask strength, batch 5.
That was that I got right then.
So you're trying to match these colours. Yeah, might have. And the last bottle was bought at the distillery and signed by Distillery.
Oh, cool. He's such a great guy.
Of Rassie.
He's such a good guy.
And this was a distillery only, which was a mix of rye and sherry casks.
You bought something that was a mix of a rye cask.
Yeah, he and I were having that conversation because I was being quite open about how I feel about rye. And he's definitely of the opinion that it's a good cask to be putting Scotch into. And I think he knows what he's doing.
Don't you think that it kind of mimics the heat that you might put up off of a European oak?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think it's affecting too much that it triggers my abhorrent repulsion to rye. But yeah. So Leanne, you have to put a colour to those bottles.
Okay, I'm working on it.
So I'm sitting here working out why I've only matched 4, but I've only got 4 to match.
You only got 4 to match.
And then Roy, you know pretty much all the distilleries that I went to or bought bottles. I'd be curious what the outlier, what you think that might be. That's where it could get fun.
If Zach and I can solve the mystery bottle between us, that would be pretty tremendous.
Yeah.
Right?
So I think where it could get interesting for you and Zach is if you can match your colour guesses to the bottle.
Okay, well, I need to put in a couple more, so I'll do that now.
I mean, the Glenallachie should find itself, quite honestly.
But I'm now worried that I'll lead Zach.
But that would be the.
No, I'm saying the Campbell. Yes, Glenallachie is brown. The Campbelltown is yellow. I'm thinking it's yellow for us, Roy.
Red.
So Zach and I so we've got the private chat going here in StreamYard, and Zach and I so far agree on Glenallachie and Campbelltown Loch. And there's no way of Gregor confirming that.
None at all. None at all.
So Zach, we just take that. And I'm suggesting that purple is Ardnamurchan. And I also think that a red is our Rassie with the rye.
The problem is I've never had Rassie, so
I know that's right. But so what we're looking for on Rassie, Zach, is that it's going to be a little bit peated. It's going to have a little bit of rye in there. It's going to have a little bit of
excuse my dog.
Okay. It's okay. There's that funky kind of peat. Okay.
But it is very peated, isn't it? It's very peated.
Which one are you on that you think's peat, Roy?
Red.
It's I think it's the highest peated we have.
I think our red and yellow are mixed.
We will never know, Leanne. We'll never know. This stream will be deleted from the whiskey verse.
No, it will go viral.
So,
It's the one time. Yeah, no, this
so
is.
you're saying you think
Oh,
I'm going on with
it's interesting. My red and yellow both have peat. Yellow is more pronounced and hotter.
okay.
Yes.
What's the ABV
Okay.
between the Campbelltown and the Rosé?
Rosé is 52%.
Okay.
Oh.
And wait, and who?
And the Campbelltown
is 46.
46.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, I can tell you because you would have this. So Campbelltown is 46%. Rosé is 52.
Yep.
Glenallachie is the highest at 55.9.
That's very evident.
Ardnamurchan is 46.8, and the lowest has been Romic for you, Leanne, but I can't remember what the other one was for you boys.
So Zach, do you think the one that we don't match with Leanne is blue?
Blue?
Blue. We both
I
think blue. Because we have, it's quite a lot of peat here, maybe not quite as much peat as red, but it's heavily peated still.
Makes me think I might have picked an Isla for that other one.
Well, it's a bit sweeter and a bit rounder than the red. Red's much more kind of youthful and shouty, and the peat on it is quite ashen.
I keep going to my red, and I know it's not the same one.
Don't listen to their colours, Leanne.
Yeah,
also-
don't wait. We're
also-
working the metaverse portal thing here, Leanne. You have to separate. Zach and I are in the same universe.
There's also a I don't know. It's kind of that like sour barley, like a Isla barley,
Like a sour mash, kind of.
On blue,
yeah, on blue.
Jimmy Legg says, sweet and round sounds like a crappy Bowmore.
Yeah,
it wasn't
we're gonna-
Bowmore, Jimmy, because I had Bowmore 12 in the first one, and I wouldn't have, I don't think I would have been that evil to put it in again.
So McCallum Fair Finding Prayers says Rosé used 3 standard casks: the Woodford Rye, the Virgin Chicken, and the Exporto red wine.
I know, but this was
Exporto red wine.
there's another thing that makes me think that blue's not the Rosé, Zach, and that's the ABV.
Yeah. No. I agree. I'm agreeing with you on Rosé on the red because it's much more heavily peated.
But I'll say this: the Rosé does not drink like it's 52%.
Interesting.
Hey, Eric, good to see you here. Yeah, it a wee bark in it, an occasional bite. Yeah, and sometimes I wonder if it's because of the youth and also maybe the ABV.
Zach, I'll tell you what's super refreshing: participating in a blind challenge where you cannot be wrong.
It's good.
Now wait a minute. You always talk about the whiskey being on trial, not you, all right? So I'm gonna be wrong. I can already tell.
If you're judging the whiskies and you're going to rank them 1 to 5, that's very much the whiskey being on trial. But as soon as you start to ask questions about matching up ABV and cask and things like that, that's very much the taster that's on trial. If I'm honest,
Blue has a heavy kind of ex-vanilla or ex-bourbon vanilla note on the finish
of blue.
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy Legg's asking if I'm drinking the same whiskies. Jimmy, I'm never drinking again after today.
Yes,
but also, yes, I'm sat.
He's drinking my brown and my yellow.
Right? I was, yes, and I've moved on to Rosé as well now because I wanted to check.
I can't lose tonight. Yeah.
Right, Leanne, have you honed in on your colours? Do you think to the bottom?
I do. Well, it's a crapshoot at this point, Gregor. Okay. You know.
So let's say
the only ones that Zach and I have to work out then, I suppose, because I think we've led each other, or maybe not led each other, but I think we're almost in agreement apart from two, and that is the purple. And actually, I think we're in agreement. What do you think the purple is?
The purple's Ardnamurchan.
Yes, I think purple is absolutely Ardnamurchan. In fact, I actually wrote Ardnamurchan in big capital letters way back at the start. I've got the sheet. It's just scribbles, but I want to hold it up to the screen to show you. And as soon as Gregor started to talk about Campbelltown or a Campbelltown or a blend, I honed in on the Campbelltown thing, which is why I picked him up in the Campbelltown comments. So that meant that there was 3 left, which made it a wee bit easier. And the Glenallachie cast strength, also the color, I think might give that away.
What color? What color dot was that, Roy?
Brown.
I think that's my brown too. Yeah.
All right, Leanne, let's pull it back to the reality that we can actually mark. For Glenallachie, you said brown.
I said brown.
For Campbelltown, what color did you say? Again, this only relates to Leanne's colors. So
I have red.
Red.
Okay.
No. Yeah.
And Ben Romac.
I don't have.
Ben Romac is my purple.
Is your purple. Rassy
Is my yellow.
is your yellow. And Ardnamurchan
Is my blue.
is your blue. You're my boy, Blue. Old school.
Ooh.
All right. Well, we can't give any decisions to Zach and Roy beyond what you guys align on.
Yes, we can.
How about wait, actually here's one. What color do you think? Did you align on which color you think is not in Leanne's flight?
Blue.
Blue. Okay. No. Okay, good. That's just for my own sanity. All right. Shall we reveal then, Leanne, how you've done?
Yeah. Okay.
And Zach, Roy, your reaction can just emote your confidence in your own choices. Nothing to do with.
Zach and I are feeling pretty confident.
I reckon. Well,
Glad you are.
Let's do the easy one.
We're feeling
Leanne.
Something.
Leanne.
Yes.
Glenallachie was indeed brown.
Yay.
So you get a
Brown
point.
for us too.
1.
You get a point there.
I got a 1.
Leanne, can you hold up your glass of Glenallachie just to do a wee color check? Oh yeah. The darkest of the flight, right?
No. Not of mine.
Should have been.
That was my darkest.
You
no,
had
wait.
the darker one.
Sorry. Yes. Sorry.
Should have been the
It's
darkest.
very dark over here. Purple and brown look the same. Hang on. Yes, it was the darkest. That was it.
Leanne,
What?
what color you said
that?
red for this?
You
said red for Campbelltown.
Yeah, I'm waffling between it and yellow, but yes.
You would be wrong.
This is wrong.
No point.
It's yellow, isn't it? Then
Not telling you yet. Don't throw me off. I've made a mess of this as it was.
Because the ABV's throwing me off on that. That's why I asked.
What you said? Purple for Ben Romac. And the correct answer was purple. So you got a point there.
Oh, okay. Yay. Here's that.
You said Rassy was yellow.
Yeah, because it's hotter.
And you would be correct.
Yay.
But you got Ardna wrong.
So I got the Campbelltown and the Ardnamurchan mixed
Wrong
up.
way around. Yeah.
But I can see why you would mix those two. I think both of them are just, the coastal thing. Even the Campbelltown Loch, you can pick up just a little bit of a Licopete in,
Making me feel
perhaps.
better.
They're very similar. They're both young whiskies, a similar age.
So the blue is the blend? Gregor, my
sorry.
blue.
Sorry. Blue is the blend. Yes. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. All right.
Yeah, but
So red is the Ardnamurchan.
tropical. It's got that tropical fruit thing from kind of.
Which one has?
The yellow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought
I mean,
got
that's incredible that I picked as my favourite tonight. I picked a 35 pounds blend.
There you go.
Which
When you can get it, but yes.
I've vocalized my love at that wee expression. You know, they've managed to pull off something there. It doesn't taste like a 35 pounds whiskey. It's very, very good.
My blue is their yellow, probable.
Probable.
Okay,
Yeah.
that was my favorite too. What the hell, you know? That just shows you can have really good whiskey at a very reasonable amount.
Interestingly, Roy, you picked Glenallachie as your number 2.
Yeah. The 10 cast strength is Glenallachie's trump card. It's just a great whiskey. And I think the reason that the Glenallachie 10 is so good is because while they are and I know it's terrible, it's almost cruel to say it, but when they're playing a kind of cask game until Billy's spirit catches up, you've got whiskey spirit coming through in the cast strength. So it's not just reliant on wood, whatever kind of wood it's in. There's spirit there as well, and it's vibrant and alive. The 10-year-old cast strength. It's getting darker and darker every year it comes out. I don't know which batch that is you've got there, but there's no peat in it at all. And it was helpful that it sat right between my 2 peated ones tonight, and it meant that if I was to take a dram to the couch tonight just to spend the rest of the night, I think it would be that one, because I would just be very, very happy taking a wee tiny sip for a long time out of it.
So is this Campbelltown, is that available in the States, or did you bring that home?
I found a bottle a long time ago, but I've never seen one since.
I've not seen it on the shores here yet, and I got that in the store at the Springbank shop. They did have a lot. I think they were limiting even then. I think they're limiting 1 per person.
On the Campbelltown Loch, were they?
I think so. I think most everything had a little per person. So maybe it was 2 if it was a more general release. Which is fine, because you kind of want, if you make the effort to be there, you kind of want to be guaranteed to get something, and that's how they make sure, right?
Oh, Luna, that's sad.
Oh, Luna's saying it's not even available in Europe. Yeah, I mean, but it might be. Campbelltown Loch was a blend. It was always not a blended malt. It was always a blend for years, for decades. It's been a blend. And what they've done much more recently is, is a wee bit ambiguous because it's in a Springbank bottle. But they've put it out there in what I think looks very Springbank-esque. And if you pick that up now, Gregor, and shows the bottle,
yeah, it looks
very
like
Springbank, and it's but it is actually a blended malt. We don't know what's in it. We don't know how much Springbank is in it. We don't know if there's Glengyle in it, and we don't know if there's any Glen Scotia in it.
Interesting.
But they've certainly brought something that's, if you were worried about just getting some young, cheap, rough whiskey, kind of,
that's not
what's happened. They've put it together. And when you think about it, that's what blended malts should do very well, right? The blended malts should be the pinnacle of malt whiskey, because they can pick from anything to make any profile. But that one, batch 1, I preferred a wee bit. I don't know whether you picked up batch 1 or batch 2, Gregor.
I would even tell.
I'm not sure, unless you looked at the wee etched label.
Yeah, 21.
What does it say before the 21?
Well, the full date is the 8th of December 21.
Right, so that's batch 1, which is my preference. Batch 2 was a bit more fuller, a bit more rounder, a bit more kind of I don't want to say first fill bourbon, but that's kind of what it led me towards, a little bit richer. But I loved batch 1's kind of mineralic, clean, fresh outdoors thing. And I'm certainly enjoying it tonight. I picked it as my favourite.
I know. As much as we say the whiskey, well, it's not you on test. I think it was for you, Roy, and maybe Zach, as to what your preference was. I think it sounds like you might need to go and buy another bottle. Have you?
Zach, what did you pick as your favourite?
he was.
I picked the Glenallachie tonight. I don't know why, but it listen, I don't necessarily go for sherry right off the bat,
Right.
honestly. But tonight it hit the palate. I don't know if that was because of I had I had the Campbelltown first, and then what we think is the Rassay second, and then that. I don't know if that played into it, but that was probably my favorite. Knowing that it's the highest ABV is probably it helped.
I would say it's all your cask strength Balcones leaning over to Glenallachie.
Right. No, that was surprising to me, Zach, because you usually are more bourbon forward than cherry, but you never know. It's like depending on what the mood is.
It came off as more. I could still taste the distillate, right? I just don't like it when the sherry cask covers up the distillate. I want to be able to experience, what came out of the still rather than just, hey, listen, just dump something into a really wet cask.
I mean, but that's not to. There are people out there who, and I had friends here the last couple of nights, and my brother was up and things, and my brother absolutely adores anything that's from a very, very active cask, because what it does for him is it clearly states the difference between. He joined me in the V pub on Thursday night, and I'd given him ex-bourbon cask Manickmore. They were all fairly high ABV. An ex-Oloroso sherry cask Distillery pour Tomatin, and I gave him a Kilchoman 100% Islay. So I was doing the theme that I had in the V pub. But I gave him those three because they were very clearly, obviously different. And the one that he wanted to keep going back to was the thing that taught him what a sherry cask brings. So he can, the flavors that he's taken out of that whiskey, he can then carry that forward, even into subtle whiskies that have much subtle notes of that, so that he knows there's a good chance that there's a sherry cask or potentially an Oloroso cask at that's involved in that. So, there's these really active or very obvious kind of almost like bookend malts play a very good role in helping you along your journey. It might not be your preference, but it might be your mood whiskey, right? It might just be, tonight I want something that's just going to bring me a big glass of Christmas, or I want a big glass of the outdoors, or I want a big glass of, they all do that quite well. But I hear you, Zach. I think the reason that we both of us enjoyed, I picked it as my second tonight, the Glenallachie 10 tonight, is because I think there's a bit more than sherry going on in this too. I think it's quite layered. I think it's not a simple whiskey, and it's not just about the ABV. It's about, just good at being tasty, delicious, layered whiskey.
Definitely so. Bowie J's asking about that Campbelltown block is a blended malt or
blended malt.
Scotch. It's a blended malt. Yeah, definitely. So thanks, Jimmy Legg, for the super chat. Appreciate that, friend. Golly,
Leanne, I don't know if you picked up. It sounds like that you and Roy both picked the same one too. If your blue was their yellow ultimately, right? Or their Campbelltown.
Yeah.
So you did, Roy. What would, in this comedy of a blind for Leanne, what would you say is the pass mark for Leanne?
I think she's done it easily. She kicked it out the park. No, I think, well, she's clear. It sounded to me like she got 3 out of 5, which is an absolute pass mark, because with a 5 set blind challenge, if you get one wrong, you're guaranteed to get 2 wrong. You can't get 4 out of 5, right?
Unfortunately, that's the way the math works.
That was mirrored in the first challenges, Leanne. You actually got 6 out of 10. So well done.
Yeah. Oh, that's a clean pass. Pass.
I'll take it. I'll take it all day long. I really will.
I wish I'd patented this blind challenge, but I think it works quite well, because it takes, once you've done the judging of the whiskey, and then you kind of move on to the fun part after you've had 5 sips of the whiskey, where you're a bit more relaxed and a bit more kind of, you're open to, you don't feel like you're on test when you actually are.
I know, there's this like initial angst of it all, right? It's like, it's one thing if I'm just trying to do a blind on my own it's different if I've got 60 plus people on and these 3 pallets along with me. It can be a little intimidating, but it's not, because we have a great community, you know.
But can I
It's
say
all about-
something, Leanne? I think it's our job. I think that we stand up here not as experts but as enthusiasts.
Yeah.
And if we don't have the humility to taste things blind, how can we encourage other people to taste things and vocalize what they taste rather than what they believe the whiskey is, because they know the bottle that it's come from, because of their pre-investment in that brand or that distillery or whatever? If we step forward and just, the more that we can make a mess of it, I think the more encouraging it is.
It
right?
is, because it makes people see that it truly is not a pretentious liquid. It is truly just a liquid for mere mortals. We're all mere mortals. There's some that are higher on the plane, Roy, than others, but it is something to be enjoyed and not to be intimidated by. And you know, it also, there's so many factors that depending on what you had to eat that day, what the weather's like. You know, we had a cold front come through and I have a slight headache, you know, just all kinds of different variations to this, you know, as to what you're tasting and what you're getting from it. What I do know is all 5 of these I would never turn down.
No.
Ever.
Yeah. Well, I think he picked a good flight. Absolutely. We'll never know, Zach, what our blue is, but it's still a delicious whiskey, right? It's still
it's
good.
fantastic. It's fantastic. But there's something, and it's as the sample bottle has gotten less and less, more of that has come out in blue. And I don't know, there's like a, I don't want to say like a lemony cake, but it is kind of like a pithy, like a lemon pith, like mixed
Which
with
one?
some, like
The one that you
our
don't have.
blue.
Oh.
We don't match
Okay.
up on this one.
And I was scratching my head as to what that would have been, because I think it,
Or maybe like
Is it
just
peated?
frosted,
Is it peated?
It's peated. It's absolutely peated.
that makes
So
me
the
think
the
it was a
only
mild.
the only thing I can think, and I did you buy anything from Bunnahabhain?
Yes, but it's not that, because as much as I love you guys, that was a single cask. I can't even remember what I bought. It's still unopened. I know that much.
Okay.
Honestly, I went down and I stared at my cupboards and I'm like, what did I pick? What would I have picked? It should have been obvious. Anyway, let's not revisit it.
That's all I've got left, is that the tiniest of
Right.
wee drips there. So
So Leanne, you're in the
It's
planning
really good,
stages
though.
of your trip, in as
am.
much as you've bought Harry Styles tickets. That's as far as you've got to committing
Well,
to
I
your
knew the
whiskey
block
trip.
of time that I was planning on going to Scotland, and then Harry Styles just happened to say that he was going to be playing Edinburgh and Wembley, and I was like, bucket list, I want to be at Wembley, so I got those tickets. Yes, so
you-
I have tickets to Harry Styles
we
in the
know
summer.
you
I will be there.
you and Harry Styles just don't miss.
Oh no,
It always happens. It
Oh,
always happens.
It's always good, you know.
So Leanne, I need to put you on the hook.
Okay.
I need you to return the favor, and on the back of your road trip, your whiskey road trip,
Okay.
craft a flight and challenge me.
It is on, friend.
Right.
And I am anal retentive about organization, so we will know which bottle.
Aye,
is
learn
which
from
color.
today. Learn from today. Write it down. Take a photo and
Oh
put
my
it in your
God,
phone.
that's hilarious.
I love it.
That's fun. Yeah.
All right, I've got you on the hook then.
So yeah, I'm trying to figure out like June-ish, May, June-ish, to be over in Scotland to replan, you know, to rework the trip we would have gone on in 2020 when before the world when we are weird. Yeah, and all that kind of fun stuff. But yeah, this has been a delight.
You did well. You did really well. And you got a repeat of the exploding toilet. So there we go.
Between you and Mark Broda and toilets, y'all might need to
Yeah.
y'all might need to talk. So tell me what's going on for you, Zach. I know you just muted, but tell us about what you've got going on with your Instagram and you and Bourbon Battalion talking about pairings with whiskeys and cigars.
We have come at this from a little bit of a different angle than there have been kind of people who talked about cigars, then there were people who talked about whiskey. There are people on both of those that says we like the things, but no one actually did it with purpose together. So we're trying to talk about the actual pairing and what notes you can get out of and what makes a pairing better and things like that. So yeah, we have some fun stuff coming up. There's some things I can't say. That I have some really fun people set to join, some actually real industry whiskey folks. So we're really excited about what Bobby and I are doing. So if you want to check us out, it's always on the Bourbon Battalion Instagram channel, Wednesday nights, 9 p.m. Central.
And put his at symbol in there so folks know which one it is in there. And then Gregor, are you tell us about what you've got with Dram Face and the podcast?
Yeah, I didn't get sacked. I didn't get my P45, as they would say in the UK. I got invited back to be the host. They might want to rethink that based on this, mind you. But no, we've picked back up season 2, a slightly revised recording schedule. So it'll be a little bit fewer, or well, we'll see the frequency that comes out. But yeah, we're back up and recording. As you can tell, the microphone's back on.
I know.
So we're just dusting it off for episodes 13 and 14 are in the bag, and we'll keep the momentum going. Yeah, going forward.
Yeah.
I think
if you're not a member of Dram Face, it's a spectacular overall resource and a resource that I would say is a pristine one in that it's not influenced by vendors and producers and things like that. It's by people who have a passion for putting really good content and information out there.
And despite what Roy says, I've started reading it. So I'm actually the reader now. I'm reading the articles.
I'm woefully behind, but I've got it on my my quick links, that's for sure. So yeah, Roy, tell us what you've got coming up for. I think you've got a lock-in for next Sunday, but what have you got
yeah,
what have you got going from there?
Actually, this is always it's I don't know. There's a thing in the whiskey industry that September through December is always the busy time for them for obvious reasons, and it's ended up being super busy for me because Dramface is part of it now. Of course, the channel was always enjoyably busy at this time, but we've now got the Online Scotch Whisky Awards.
Right, that's next week, right?
It's Saturday. It's the Saturday, the 5th of November, which Gregor will know. In the UK, we celebrate. We call it Guy Fawkes. There was a terrorist attack, I guess you could call it, in Parliament, and we celebrate it. We celebrate. The fact that was not successful by setting fireworks and setting fire to things. We've been doing it on the 5th of November. So there's going to be fireworks in the background of the Oswis. Well, it's not going to be intentional.
It can be for my birthday too, because that is my birthday is the 5th. So it can just, instead of the terrorist attack, it can just be celebrating Scotch on the Bayou.
Terrific.
And we're not going to talk about how old I am, but
if you're not in on the Oswis, we know that you'll be out having a nice time to celebrate your birthday. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
To know that. I hope I'm mindful enough to remember to send you a wee message in the day.
It's good.
And yeah, the lock-in for my supporters was supposed to be tonight, but I can do that next Sunday, and it'll be better because the Oswis will be behind me, and I'll be a wee bit more relaxed.
You can have a couple more drams.
Sorry?
You can have a couple of extra drams after all that work.
I can just wind down a wee bit, just kind of let things. Just look forward to the rest of the year with a wee bit less on. But I make it sound like it's hard, and but it's everything that I'm touching is just great fun. I always feel privileged, and I don't want to give any of it up. I like it all. I don't mind being this busy. It's just great fun.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that.
Well, as a member of the whiskey community, I appreciate everything y'all bring to the table, and including opening the chair at the table for folks like me to come in and just kind of put my 2 cents here and there. I am super excited. Tomorrow releasing a new Camp Dram video of Glenallachie 15. So that was pretty
Great.
apropos to be aligned with that. So that's coming out tomorrow. We'll have a show on Tuesday night, and I'm actually going to do a blind between that Glenallachie 15, a Glendronach 15, and maybe even the Tamdhu, just to kind of put 3 sherry bombs together and see what we can come up with fun there. And then a week from next Tuesday, there's a guy from Indiana we all know and love, Mark Broda of Scotch for Dummies, is going to come to the Bayou. He is spending the week with us down here. And we're so excited. We have all kinds of things planned. We're going to go to the camp a lot. He's going to be doing the show with me on Tuesday night. And then he and my Mark are going to go out fishing in the Bayou in the river that week. And then he'll be back here to do his show on Thursday night. So we have a lot going on. And then I'm actually presenting at the Louisiana Bourbon Festival to try to convert as many folks as I can by doing a session on Scotch 101. So that's going to be super fun the week after. With lots and lots of fun things coming up for the fall, that's for sure. But this has been great. Chaotic,
you did,
but awesome.
Listen. Let me just say that I'm grateful that I get to call all 3 of y'all friends, and that's the most important thing to me. So thank you guys, Leanne.
That's awesome.
Thank you, Zach. I'm grateful too.
Y'all want to hang out in the background? I think is there anything else we want to chat about?
No, you aced the quiz and I failed ultimately, and the only thing I set up.
You brought the A for effort and the entertainment. Let me just tell you,
and a Z for execution.
And I just need to check with Zach, but I'm fairly convinced, Zach, that you and I scored a 10 out of 10 tonight.
Yeah, of course.
Absolutely.
It's the only time that it'll ever happen, but let's take it.
We're scoring ourselves. It's the honor system.
Oh my goodness. This is great. Y'all, this I tremendous, like, hang on, I want to give you my thanks after, but everyone in the chat, we've had a steady 55 to 65 folks tonight. I know a lot of those pulled in from my friend over there. Y'all, thanks so much. It is about, how you taste the whiskey, how you like the whiskey, and it's sharing it with great people like this, great people like you all in the chat. Thanks for all the super chats, the subs, the memberships, all of that stuff. Each one of you guys, it's like 2 Scots, a Southern Belle, and a crazy man from Texas. It does not get much better than this, y'all. Until I see you next time, guys, we'll say Slàinté y'all.
Slàinté y'all.
Slàinté y'all.
Slàinté y'all.
Slàinté y'all.